Hey there, thanks for stopping by my channel to color. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Today we're going to be using our Copic markers and we're going to be coloring this adorable Magnolia image. I can't find the name of it on the package, so I'm just going to call her Tilda holding a heart. I'll put a list of all the supplies I use down in the description box in case you would like to pick something up. So let's get started. Okay, so let's go ahead and start out by coloring her skin, and for that we're going to use E04, E11, E00, E000, and for her cheeks today I'm going to use R20 and R01. I thought I'd switch it up today and try a little bit of different color combo, so I'm going to start with E04. And we want to put that down wherever you want to have the darkest shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and start on her arm right here. And there's a few little dots there along her arm, so I'm going to kind of use those as my guide. And let's do a little bit over here, and then maybe along the bottom of her hand. You want to use that sparingly because it's pretty dark. Then we're going to switch over to E11. And I'm going to brush right over the top of my E04. And we're going to bring that around the edge of her shirt. And since the thumb is kind of over here under her shirt, I'm going to go ahead and bring this completely out and over here. Next we'll go with E00. And I'm going to go ahead and just brush over her entire arm and fill it the rest of the way in. I'm going to give it a second coat. So again, I'm going to start with E04. And I'm trying to use just the tip of the pen. I don't want to put down too much ink because this is a purple color and it's really dark. So I don't want to be, I just want to use it as a shadow. I don't want it to cover up her whole arm. And then again, we'll go over that color with E11. And then we'll go over the entire arm with E00. And we'll go over here and we'll do this other hand. So I'm going to go ahead and go along the bottom. And again, I'm using just the tip of my pen. I'm trying to use a very skinny line. And then this heart's kind of leaning on her hand a little bit right here, so I'm going to give it a little bit of shadow in the crease right here. And then we'll go over that with E11. And I touch down on top of the E04 and I just flick up into my white space. I'm going to go ahead and connect this little crease right here on the side of her hand with the bottom. And then we'll fill it in with E00. And we'll do a second coat. So again, try to use just the tip of your pen so you're not getting too much of this E04 on there. I'm going to go ahead and do a little dab up here on her neck too and start that. And then we'll go with our E11. That's what I get. I don't know what color I'm on. And again, I touch down on top of my E04 and I just flick up towards my white area, or the lighter area in this case, because since I already did one coat. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in her neck because it's underneath of her chin and it's not going to get much light there. And then we'll go over her entire hand with E00. And we're going clear up to that white space. Then I'm just going to swipe across this edge here. And maybe give it a little flick on her neck. Then we'll go ahead and grab E04 again. And again, I'm going to do a little dab on her neck because we're going to do 2 coats in there. And then for this, I don't want to use too much of this on her face, so I'm going to go around this flower. I'm going to kind of go down here where her hair is touching, and then do a little bit around where the flower is touching her face. And then we're going to do a little dab along the edge of this little hairband. And right next to where her hairband is touching her face right here. Then we'll add some E11 to that. So let's go ahead and do, let's see, let's start, I'm going to want to bring this around. So let's go ahead and start right here, and we're just going to flick this down off of E11. And I'm going to go to where her cheek kind of puffs out. Same for this side, down here where her cheek is puffing out. And then down here where this little heart is, let's do a little bit of a line right in here. And then don't forget to do her neck a second time. We'll do a little dab on that side. And then we're going to add E00. So we're just flicking over our 2 previous colors. And then this time we're going to go along her cheek and do this side. And we'll grab E00, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of this edge of my E00, just kind of bringing a little bit more in. There is still a big white patch right here in the middle. And then we're going to go with our second coat, so I'm going to grab my E04. And again, sparingly, remember it's really dark. E11 next. And let's see, let's brush this like this. I'm going to go ahead and bring this around to the side here. I didn't like how that was looking. And then we'll add our E00. And then we're going to use our E000 to fill in her entire face. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill in right here first. Kind of brush over that white area. And then we're going to leave it like that for a second. We're going to add some cheek color. So I'm going to start with R20. And I like to use these little dots right here on her cheek as my guide. So I usually start right in the middle of these 2 that are closest to the edge. And I kind of flick from the middle out. And kind of like a little triangle, I guess. And I do the same thing over here. And then I'm going to soften the edges with R01. So I kind of touch down kind of in the middle of her cheek and just flick out past where the R20 was. And then we're going to come back with E00. And let's flick right over those cheeks. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go flick, flick, flick out here into the middle. And then up here. Then we'll go over that one final time with E000. I tend to wipe over her entire face. And then I come back with my R20 and darken this up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and do her hair next. For that, we'll use E57 and E43. She doesn't really have very much hair showing, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my E43, and I'm just going to color her entire hair in. Got a little patch right here above this leaf, so I'm going to go ahead and color that. I missed it the first time around when I was coloring this, so I'm going to just make sure to color it this time. And then we'll come in with our E57, and we're going to add in some little spots where we want it to be darker. So you can kind of just pick some. There's some lines that are already here for us, so I'm just going to use a few of those and make a few of these little spots darker. And you can pick whatever lines you want. And I'm going to do this one above her little leaf there. And then make sure to get a couple over here. I'll add a second coat to a couple of these. You can also use a little bit darker pen if you'd like it to be darker. Add more colors. I just thought there wasn't very much hair there, so I only went with the 2 colors. Next, let's go ahead and do the leaves. For that, we'll use G28 and G24. And like the hair, I'm just going to go ahead and take my G24 and color in the leaves. Nothing fancy. And then we'll take our G28 and give it a little bit of shadow. So I'm going to go down the little lines on the leaves that are already there and just kind of highlight those. And maybe brush a little bit down here where the flower is touching our leaves. And then I'm just going to leave those like that. Let's go ahead and do that flower next. So we'll use our 89, 85, and 83. And like the others, I'm just going to go ahead and color the entire flower with R83 first. I'm trying to keep it simple today. Because this flower isn't really that big. You could go over and fuss with it, I guess, a bunch, but I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to color it all in. And then I'm going to come in with R85 and add a little bit of shadows. So let's say this one's kind of tucked in, so I'm going to do a little bit along the edge of this flower that's tucked. And down here it's going to be like tucked in here. And maybe one of these center ones. Okay. It's pretty good. And then we'll go in and add a little bit of our R89. R89 is really dark, so pick spots that, some smaller spots, and just add a little dab of it in there to darken it up a little bit. A little bit along this edge. A little bit along this crease right here. This one's kind of down behind, so we're going to add a little bit in there. And this one's definitely got a little crease in there, so let's do that one. A little bit here. And I'm trying to use just the tip of my pen so that it will just make a really small line. Need to go around this one a little bit more, I think. Trying to leave the edges of the petals a little bit lighter. Maybe add a little bit more on this side. And I'm liking how that looks, so I'm going to leave it like that because you can really see it's a flower. Let's go ahead and hop down to our pants. For that, we're going to use BV20, E81, and E50. Okay, so we're going to have the shadows with BV20. So let's go ahead and go right here underneath of her shirt. And then I'm going to go right along the edge of her inside of her pants. And there's already some dots there, so I'm kind of using those. And then we'll go underneath of her knee here and down the inside of her leg. Same for this side. And then I'm going to say that this is going to get a little bit of shadow, so it's going to kind of connect with that knee there. Same for this one. We'll bring it down and come down with that knee. Then we'll grab E81. And we're going to want to soften that edge. So let's go ahead and go right like this and flick away out here into our white. I'm going over the entire section with the BV20 so that it colors this nice greenish brown color. This one has kind of a green tint to it. And then we'll grab our E50, and I'm going to soften those edges. I'm not necessarily going to cover it all the way up because I want to come with a second coat, and that will give me a little bit of space. Looks pretty patchy, doesn't it? All right, let's go ahead and do our BV20 one more time. And then we'll go in with E81. And then we'll do our E50 over the entire pants. So I'm just going to go ahead and swipe over the entire leg. Let's do our socks next. For that, we'll use V01 and V000. I'm going to go ahead and fill in her entire sock with V000 first. We're not going to be fancy with her socks. And if you get a little bit on her shoe, it's not going to matter because we're going to color those black. Now we'll take our V01 and we'll add some shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and go where it's going around the back of her foot and use that little line there and bring it out here. Because there's little dots right there, maybe a little bit in this crease, maybe a little bit right here where her shoe's touching her sock. And then let's add some shadows on the inside of her sock. So let's go with this. And then maybe over the top of this little crease right here. Same for this one. We'll go from the outside around this little line. That in, maybe a little bit down here. There. And then let's go with over this line and a little bit here in the center. And that's all we're going to do those socks. All right, since we did our socks, let's go ahead and do our shoes. We'll use W8, 6, and 4. Okay, I'm going to start with W8. And I'm just going to go down the outside of each of the shoes. So I'm going to go down this side, on this side, and then I'm going to bring it across the top of the sole. I'm going to leave the sole white, so I'm going to try not to get down in there. We'll do the same thing over here. Bring this side in just a little bit more. I'm liking that. Then we'll add W6. I'm going to go ahead and cover up this side of the shoe. And I'm making sure to touch that W8. I'm starting like in the middle of the W8 and brushing out. And then we're going to make sure to go around the bottom. Cover up this side. And then we'll do W4. And we're going to give it 2 coats, so we're not going to cover it all the way up. And we'll come back with W8. And then we'll add W6 for a second coat. And then our W4. This time we're going to fill this all in. And this one's still got a little bit of a line right here, so I'm going to go ahead and swipe over one again. Same for this side. And maybe a little dab up here. And I'm going to hold my pen a little bit straighter so that I try not to go out of the lines here. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and do her shirt and her headband. So we're going to use VO9, VO6, RV66, RV19, and VO5. I'm going to go ahead and start with VO6, and let's start up here on our headband. I'm trying to decide where I want to start here. Let's start right here. And I didn't start with VO9 because I'm going to add 2 coats, and I only want to add a little bit of that. And I forgot to color that stem on those flowers right there. Let's grab G28 and we'll just color that in. Otherwise I might forget. All right, then we'll switch over to RV66 and we're going to go down here. We're going to color right over our previous color and bring this up into our headband. And then we'll add RV19. And then our VO5. Okay, now we will add our VO9. Remember, you don't want to use too much. It's really dark. I'll add a little dab over there in that corner. A little bit up here. And then we're going to go with VO6. And I'm brushing over the top of that V09. And then we'll go with RV66. And again, I'm going to brush over those two colors. And we'll go with RV19. And again, I'm brushing over all those colors. I really like how this purple turned out with doing all this brushing over everything. And then our VO5 to fill that in. Isn't that a pretty color? I love it. All right, so we're going to move down here to our shirt. So again, we're going to skip VO9, and we're going to start with VO6. So where are we going to want some shadows? Let's do a little bit right... Well, let's do this side of her shirt over here first. She's got a little bit of her shirt showing right there. I'm going to color that in. Then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to do a little bit above where her top of her collar is compared to her little skirt on her shirt. And then I'm going to do the back right here. And then we're going to go down the inside of this sleeve. That. And then we want to make some little curly cues down here at the bottom, or some little ruffles. So let's go with maybe a little dab of color right here. And right here. This. Like that. And then we're going to come down up here and do a little bit in this little crease that's going on our shirt right here. And then we're going to go with RV66. I'm going to go ahead and go over this again. We're going to darken that up. And then we want to add a little bit of color to each of these lines. So I'm just going over the line I already drew down, and then I'm widening it out just a little bit. So I start here and go over that color and brush it out past that line, just a dab. Okay, and then down here we're going to go with these. And we're going to kind of bring them up into a half semicircle, I guess. Kind of bump up. Kind of look like a half of a C or a shell. I'm going to go ahead and bring this one up to our hand because it's going to be dark over here where our hand is at. And then we'll go with RV19. So again, I'm going to do this little shoulder piece. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're just going to add a little bit more color onto our lines. And then we're going to go ahead and fill these in a little bit more. Make it a little bit pointier. And then we'll go with VO5. Go ahead and fill in the rest of the top of her shirt right here. A little bit to the sleeve. Define a few of these little bumps a little bit more. Need to bring these down even. This down. Okay, that's kind of got a little bit of definition there. Okay, so now we're going to come back with our second coat. So I'm going to go with VO9. Remember, this is really dark, so I'm going to use this as the bottom of my shadow down here on this little swoop. A little dab on this sleeve. I'm using it very sparingly. Then I colored my finger purple. Okay, then we'll add VO6. RV66. And this is over here underneath this one, so I'm going to go ahead and cover that up. And then I'm going to bring this one up too. It's underneath of our hand, so we're going to stretch this one up here now. Maybe go up in a line, make a little triangle up here. And then this one, we're going to go up more. Stretch some of those out. And then we're going to go with RV19. Okay, so for RV19, we're going to bring a little bit of this color underneath that darkest color and fill in some of these spaces here. And then we're going to go over all of that with VO5. Now that I've filled in the bottom without coloring your pants, I'm going to go ahead and swipe over the entire shirt. I try to keep my coloring straight when I'm showing you guys, but sometimes I don't really color like this. I kind of move all my stuff all around and twirl things around, but I try to keep it so you can see it. So I'm trying to keep it straight, and it's kind of hard. Sometimes I go out of the line. All right, so I'm liking that, but you see how she's got some little ruffles there where you can see the little pleats? Okay, that leaves us with a little heart. So we're going to use W7, R39, R37, and R35. And I'm going to go with my W7 to add some shadows. So let's do a little shadow right here. And then there's some little dots on the bottom of this heart right here. I'm going to use it right in there. Next, I'm going to go with R39. So we're going to cover up that W7. Then we're going to bring this color around over here. We're also going to go over that W7. And then R37. I'm going to use this to come around over here. Fill in a little bit over here. And then we'll go with R35. We're going to do 2 coats, so don't worry. We're going to leave that little white space there for a minute. Do W7. And then R39. R37. Sounds sounds like my husband just got home with Lacy from skating. So sorry if the dogs start barking. And then we're going to fill it in with our R35. Okay, I'm going to use my Sharpie white paint pen to add some white dots, and I always shake it with the lid on so it doesn't spray everywhere. And then I'm going to add a couple of dots on her cheek. And then the little headband had some dots, so I'm just going to go over those. And her shirt. Now I'm going to cut her out and we will put her together. Alright, so through the joy of video editing, I went ahead and cut my girl out, and I cheated and put all the little foam tape pieces on the back I wanted, and I attached my twine to my parts so I wouldn't have to do that too. You know, let's save a little bit of time here. And all this stuff will come in your kit, so you'll get all the twine and all that stuff so you can put your kit together if you went and purchased that. And don't forget, I'll put a link to everything I used down in the description box in case you would like to go shopping. A lot of them are affiliate links, so I do get a small commission off of those if you purchase something from the store. It doesn't cost you anything. I just get a little bit of a commission off that. Okay, so let's put this on here, and then we're going to put this cute little tag next, and this is a La La Land Crafts tag. Just peel off this tape. Makes it so much easier if I attach it first, then you don't have to watch me fiddle with it. And we're going to put this up here. Let's go maybe like this. It's hard to tell if it's straight or not. And then you can adjust your string however you want it. I just tied it at the top there. And then we'll put this little notebook piece on there. Whoops, don't lose that. I'm going to need that. And since it kind of hangs off the tag over here, we're only going to put glue on this side, kind of in the middle. And this hangs off over here. So we'll put this like that, just like so. Next is going to be this little heart, and since this has a bunch of holes and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and use some liquid glue on that. And we'll go, oops. Of course it doesn't want to come out. And I know one of these sides is going to hang off the side, but that's okay. We'll just put some on there anyway. Put a little bit on there. And then we're going to make this one go like this. I still want it to fit in the card, so I don't want it to stick off here too much. So I'm just going to go like this, maybe have it stick off just a little bit. And then next is going to be this little heart piece. And I think I popped this one up. Oh, I just stuck it on there. So let's go ahead and put some tape on the back. And this one goes like this. And you could pop it up if you wanted. I'm just going to stick it down. This. And then next we'll put our girl. Put her. And then we got our tag, and I did put a little bit of foam adhesive on the back of that too. And stick this one. You see we did all that great coloring on our shoe, and then we're going to cover it up with this. And I'll put it, your tag and your kit doesn't come with the sentiment on there. I just put that on there. I'll put a link to the stamp set I used. It's an Altnew one. I can't remember what it was called, but I will put that down in the description box in case you'd like to pick it up. You'd also put a cute little thinking of you sentiment, or just because, or love you, or whatever you would like. Put these little hearts on here. this. And that's going to do it. Isn't that super cute? So don't forget, guys, I'll put a link down in the description box if you want to pick this card kit up. I really appreciate you shopping with me, and the affiliate links that I leave down in the bottom in the description. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below and I'll make sure to get back to you. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and feel free to share it with others in case they'd like to come and check out my channel. Otherwise, I hope you're having a fabulous day and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.